Hello and welcome to another episode of Daily Reflections. Pastor Sean coming to you with my fly swat. I shot this video a few minutes ago and I got all the way to the closing. You know, I always do kind of the same closing, the same opening, different things like that. And I got all the way to the closing and a black fly landed right there. And it was not, it was extremely obvious that there was a fly on my head. Now, so if you see me swat here and there, you know that I'm just swatting them away, because the flies are out like nobody's business. And since the rain kind of cooled everything off, they've come out even more for some reason. But here we are on my front porch, and let's talk about where I'm at in my reading today. Today I opened up my Bible app, and as I began to read, I am in the first 8 chapters of Song of Solomon, and let's talk about it. Now, this is a G-rated show, so don't think that I'm going to say something that you wouldn't let your children hear. So here we go. Solomon is writing a letter to his lover, to his wife. All right, many people believe it's the Queen of Sheba that he's talking about. And he starts to write this letter. He starts to write this book to her, this love letter to her. And it gets passionate. It gets graphic, not obscene graphic, but it gets great. You know what he's talking about. And so we get through here, and I want to show you 2 things that Solomon shows us immediately. All right? Doesn't have anything to do with his lover, but it has to do with you and I. The first thing that I notice about Solomon, and he begins to write this beautiful letter, and she's talking, and he's talking, and other people are interjecting their input, and it's just going along beautifully and everything. The first thing that I want to show you about Solomon, let me swat here just a second. Solomon is observant. He's watching everything. He's observing how she walks. He's observing how she talks. He's observing how she comes into the room. He's observing everything, and she's doing it as well. She's watching him and talking to him and carrying on this conversation, and it's all right there. He observes every bit of it. He talks about the fruit on the vine. He talks about the leaves on the tree. It's all metaphorical, but he's talking about all of these different things to have to do with this woman that he's observing. So how does that apply to us? We need to look around. We need to look around and see what God is doing. We need to observe the hand of God moving in our lives. Now, let me say this. I had an opportunity several years ago. We were running a food pantry in Rome, and you've heard me talk about it. It was a wonderful ministry, and it was very effective for the time and for the place that we were. It's a very poor neighborhood over there, and feeding those people was a tremendous blessing. After 2 years of feeding those people, we were fully funded by the Atlanta Community Food Bank and Rome Action Ministries, and we didn't have to pay for any of the food. We got the food for free. But as we got toward the end of that time in Rome, as we got toward the end of our ministry there, we started to see that we were feeding the same people over and over and over. And we wanted to do something. We didn't mind helping those people, but it seemed like they became dependent on the food more than what we wanted them to be. And I'm not trying to be negative in any way. We saw that it was falling by the wayside, and so we decided that we needed to do something different. And I began to observe the hand of God moving in that ministry. And I got a phone call from a fella, and he said, "Hey, listen, I think this may be the person you need to talk to." And I said, okay. So I went down to the VFW, and I met with a bunch of veterans, wonderful men, veterans of foreign wars. And I went down and I met with them, and they told me, they said, listen, we're all in good shape. We all have food on the table. Most of us have jobs. We're in good shape. But this is the lady you need to talk to. She takes care of our homeless vets, and she can help you out. And I said, okay. And after I got through sharing with them and talking with them and spending a little time with them, they sent me to this other lady, and I gave her a phone call. And I'm right in the middle of the phone call. Now, I'm still observing. Watch this. And she begins to cry. Right in the middle of the phone call, she begins to cry. And I said, are you okay? You're on the phone with a lady, and she starts crying. It's kind of want to know what's going on. I said, are you okay? And she said, we have been praying for 6 months for somebody to come on and help us. And I said, really? We've been praying for 6 months to find somebody to help. And she said, this is amazing. And I said, no, honey, this is God. And God put the two of us together. She had 70 veterans who were homeless or in public housing who needed food. And we watched the hand of God open up, and we were able for a year and a half, almost 2 years, to feed those homeless and needy veterans. And it was amazing. She said, I don't have any way to get them there. I said, we got a van. She said, I don't know if we can do all the paperwork. So we got that covered. We got people who can do that. I don't know if some of them won't be able to make it. I said, all right, we'll deliver. And it worked out beautifully. And when I observed the hand of God open up a door of opportunity. The second thing that Solomon does, he's observant. But the second thing he has here is he has communication. Oh, man, does he have communication. He's talking with this young lady. He's talking with his wife. He's carrying on conversations with her. He's telling her how beautiful she is. He's telling her how wonderful she is. He's telling her how much he loves her. And he's sharing all of this. And I say that to say this. We need to communicate. We need to communicate with one another. We need to talk about what God has done. We need to talk about what God is doing. And we need to talk about what God is going to do in the future. We need to talk to one another. You know, I said just a couple of services ago, just a couple of videos ago, we have not because we ask not. We need to communicate more with each other and more with God than we ever had before. Solomon shows us right here in the first 8 chapters a lot of different things. But what I want you to see is he is observant. He is looking at everything that's going on around him. And number 2, he's in a communication mode. So we need to learn from Solomon. We need to be observant of what God is doing, and we need to share it with others. Pastor Sean coming to you from my front porch this afternoon with our daily reflections. Just know that I love you. I'm praying for you, and I hope to see you this Sunday at Irwin Hill Church of God. God bless you is my prayer.